Right, thank you, ladies and gentlemen. My name's Beattie, founder of Beattie Passive. Beattie Passive has been going about 6 years now. I was a carpenter by trade, then learnt every trade. Started off because if a plumber never turned up on one of my sites, I wanted to know how to do it and why to do it and how to get it right. So I learnt plumbing, I learnt electrics, I learnt bricklaying, I learnt tiling, I learnt every trade. And then I started off, then went to a property developer. So I then built houses and then designed my own houses and then engineered them as well. I had a great craving for building. Building's a fantastic thing, so I'm very passionate about. Retrofit, again, I think is one of the most important things that we could ever do to our buildings. But we've got to do it right. And we've got to understand every part of that chain and how we can actually guarantee the performance of every building. I'll explain to you a bit more about how we're going to do it, but the journey is really important to me. And if we look at what we've been doing up to now, it's taking little chunks, little tiny chunks and moving things forward. And that's the same things I've done with our main build process. Why are we just incrementally going there where we've got such a massive change to do? We cannot any longer just think about it's going to happen tomorrow. We're pushing this thing under the carpet. We're not interested in it. We've got to make major changes. And we've got to do it with a real understanding. I think that's where Passive House has been inspiring to me, because it's taken things from small bits of energy performance into a massive change, 80–90% of energy savings. There's always been a way of looking at things in my mind, and that's bit we've got to have a holistic approach. We've got to first of all look at how we're going to deliver something. Just because we have good ideas doesn't mean we're going to be able to put them in practice. So if we've got to retrofit 20 million houses, who's going to do it? Where's the skill set for that? So in designing a system, we've got to be able to do it everywhere. It's got to be done by a new generation of young people that are going to be our builders and erectors of the future. So when I started off on this, on the main process, I came up with a system that was very, very simple. And we're building houses which are all over the country now, and soon to be in Dubai, France, and across 57 countries. But that's because it's transferable, it's a simple skill. And that's what we need in the retrofit system. We've got a massive fuel poverty and carbon commitment. So whatever we've got to do is spend our money wisely and make sure that the amount of reduction we can get is going to make a big difference. It's got to be financially viable. So we've all done schemes where we've had funding money in, but we've actually got to do schemes that actually will return on the income, will return something in the long term. And it is a long term. There's no magic silver bullet here. This is people working together to achieve something. This word, regeneration, is a massive one. People say to me, oh yeah, but I've got a lovely Victorian house, or I've got a beautiful cottage in the countryside with lovely brickwork. They're not the ones we're going to get first. We've got a whole mass of 1950s buildings that are rubbish, like the one you just saw we're going to be doing in Solihull. No insulation in it. We're going to save £1,000 a year for those residents. Christ, if we do that, that is something really fantastic, and cut 70% of carbon. This one. I know you've had some shocking, well, say shocking, but some words from BRE today on the sort of things, the way that we're actually suffocating people. So again, what we need to do is to look at that healthier homes as just as important. And with Beattie Passive, it's been about lifting the performance of buildings, but looking at every single part of it. This is what we're doing at the current time. This was in Norwich. Norwich has just launched a £300 million passive house building programme for all their houses in the city they're going to be building. But what they're actually paying for at the moment in their retrofit market is little plaster patches, getting cold bridges and giving us problems. This map was released earlier last month. Radon. What happens in our houses when we start to put all insulation and fill all the gaps up? We start breathing in small amounts of gases. Radon is everywhere, under every home in the UK. At the moment, there's about 1,100 deaths of lung cancer caused by radon. In America, more people die of radon cancers than they do of car crashes. So once we start to insulate our buildings and make them more airtight, every single building needs to be ventilated properly, because we get that, which we know we've got, we'll also have this in a lot bigger way. Even in my own build system, the Beattie passive system, every building, every one of them is radon proof. Because you can do it. Everyone is flood proof because we can do it. So every single retrofit needs to be ventilated properly. And that's where passive house heat recovery comes in. So to do it at scale, we need to work on every single section. The benefit has to be for everybody, and the pain is cost, needs to be spread with everybody. If I can reduce every single house that I retrofit by 75%, and I'm saving on a flat £1,000, that's a lot of money. If I can eradicate 7,400 deaths a year, or bring it down, without the problems we're going to have with respiratory problems and radon cancers, that's someone who's going to pay towards what we're doing. House owner is going to have lower bills. Of course they're going to have lower bills, but they've still got to pay for their energy. So they've got to contribute something as well. But we're going to get houses that go through PHPP. And for those of you who don't understand passive house, it's a very in-depth look at how houses and buildings work. So we can tell if that building's going to overheat. We can tell what actually energy it's going to use. It's a lot more complicated than SAP, but it gives out some real interesting figures. And they work. We need to save the CO2. 80% reduction by 2050. Massive. We haven't started yet. So we've got to do it at scale. And we're also part of the Energy Sprong initiative. And those who don't have heard about Energy Sprong, it's the Dutch Energy Initiative, which has guaranteed 110,000 houses to zero carbon. At the moment, they're doing it about €85,000 a unit and trying to show a 5% return, which is never going to happen. But the initiative is fantastic. And that's what we're looking to work on over here with the local government and the main government. Upskilling. So what we're going to do is generate a whole new workforce from young people. As I say, the ones in Solihull being done by Solihull Council actually got initiatives in by young people to put them together. And the regeneration is changing people's lives. This is what we're talking about. These are some we'll be doing in Birmingham soon. These are the old Wimpy Fines buildings. There's thousands of them. Birmingham's got 6,000 of them. If I was an individual living in that cold, damp, miserable building, and I walk out 6 weeks, go on holiday, don't have to go on holiday, but say I'm in there, come back in, that's what I'm living in. What does that do for communities? What does that do for individual people? It's massive. I gave this to an estate agent and said, right, same area, this one's along the road, this one's just done. How much value do you think? £65,000, he said. What that's worth. It's got to be in the calculation when you come to cost. So, Beattie Passive, our build system, continually insulated envelope. Any shape, ever you like. We're the only passive house company certified in the UK. Looking at fire, sound, buildability, cost, every part of it has been thought through. Can we transfer that into retrofit? Of course we can. It was designed for it. All we're doing is making a very simple frame, 2 bits of 4x2 and a piece of ply, any gap, any U value, design it so we get the proper MVHR system to go through, not plastic flat ducting, proper round ducting, goes through the building, and is designed properly to give us the proper ventilation. Our T-Cozy. We have our existing building. It doesn't have to be that shape. I say to the architects, look at a development, we're doing one in one of the islands, Isle of Man, where we've got an existing estate of 250 units, drab, down, horrible looking. Architect, think of something new. What do you want to see here? How do we regenerate that area? So we take an existing building and we can put the frame over in any shape you want to. Basically, it goes down to below to foundation level. We're not going to be able to do the ground floor slabs. We're not going to be able to move people out. But we've got to actually do the best we can with the stock we've got. And then we go continually around. No joints, no gaps, completely insulated. We then, of course, and I would never retrofit a building without thinking of all these things, we have mechanical ventilation. And that, as you said, is integrated into the building. Part of doing passive house, and we are building at the moment about 50 or 60 around the UK, is about how you manage that ventilation. And the learning that we've had over the last couple of years with tenant engagement and that sort of thing. So it's very interesting when you start working and learning through practice what happens. PVs, this is for zero carbon. Once the grid sorts itself out, once we are seeing the PVs come down, on a standard 86 square metre house, we need about 4 kilowatts of PVs to bring it down to zero carbon, the 2016 BRE guide. We're then going to put triple glazed windows in it. And then we're going to test it. These are the ones we're going to be doing in the Isle of Man. The first one's going ahead soon, and there's 256,000 on the island need doing. These are poorly insulated. They've got damp condensation problems. And they're below an F. We're going to take those buildings and we're going to build a frame over it. And we're going to hang the building off the foundations. And there's no connection, because these have got very badly constructed walls. We fix here and we diaphragm the roof and fix it onto the roof. So no structural implications on the building. We're then going to have our MVHR systems. And again, as Sarah said earlier, it's fitted to the outside of the building. It's all designed, it's all done through PHPP and tested. The other thing we're doing is we're setting up new controls. The worst thing in passive house is people love to play with buttons. And if you've ever built any passive house or any tenant engagement, they love pressing things. So what we need to do is have a little interaction between. And that monitors the building. And that says, I can play with these things for an hour, and then it goes back again. Because in the end of it, the machines and the technology we've got today in those houses works. It understands moisture, it understands heat. It understands when people go out and leave all the windows open but leave the heating on. So technology is there, we just need to interact it properly. And then we give them a boost button. So when they want to hit it, they can have the fans up to 3 or 4. So these are the houses at present. These are some that are going to be done. They could look like that, it could look like that. It doesn't matter. I'm not saying they look better like that than like that, but basically they could be anything. And also we can do our system where we actually put a building on top of a building. So the piggyback is designed that we take the structural strength from the foundation, and then we can put buildings on top of buildings, which makes it cheaper because all the services are there, and we're not having to use new greenbelt land. And where are we going from? F to 100%. That's the lift we need to do. We can no longer just do these little increments. It's no good me talking like that unless we have a complete journey. If I'm just going to go out and speak about one element, and that's the Beattie passive system, then I'm not telling you about how and why we think it's going to be done properly. Architecturally, we need to have the right people designing homes. I can't do that. Yes, I've designed lots of houses, but we need individual architects throughout the UK and the world doing what's right for their communities. We need to check every single building. We need to understand what heating system they've got in, what boilers they've got for hot water, how they're dealing with their existing damp problems or foundation or any problems. So every building needs to be properly assessed, because one system doesn't fit every building. So we need to do that on everyone. And an energy assessment needs to be done. Us as a company, we're a design system. So we design every building and then we test every building to guarantee its performance. We do a 3D modelling in Revit. So we model the building, and then we give a cutting list, which is really simple to be made anywhere. This one for Solihull will be done potentially in the local college. In other sites, we've got it being made on site. 5 minutes? Okay. Really important to get awareness and understanding through the journey. And I think that's something that really needs a lot of work on, because we've got to engage with everyone as part of this journey. On-site and off-site manufacture, and we've got an academy where people come now and learn how to build their own homes, and carpenters and builders come to learn the Beattie passive system and get accredited. We're also going to do that for the retrofit system, so again, accredited people. We test every building. So basically, every single building used to be, all the new buildings are thermally imaged, and now we use echo technology, which we've developed, to actually go outside and check and guarantee the insulation's everywhere. Because it does flow everywhere, but we know people make mistakes. Everyone is signed off by a structural engineer, and everyone is air tested. And then we certify it. So Beattie Passive's journey is to make sure that every building delivers what it says. New facade if it's wanted, the energy performance it gets, healthier buildings because they're ventilated properly and proper comfort. The regeneration happens because we can local people, and we can invest money locally, and that's the important part. What does it move locally when you do it? This is a vision. It's not there yet. It's not something that is going to be there tomorrow, but we've got to work together. We need buy-in from everybody. You here are sold on retrofit if you want to be here. We've got ministers we're talking to that are sold on retrofit. We've got energy companies that are sold on retrofit, because they're the ones that are going to suffer. But we need to make it work. And we need everybody to pay in to make that work. Few statistics. Costs about $46,000 to do a total zero carbon retrofit on a 3-bedroom house. So we're going from $1,500 to a saving of £200. Doesn't sound a lot. Some people won't be able to afford that, and that'll be reduced because it's fuel poverty. But if I'm at work and I can afford it, that's where it starts off. We've got low interest rate now, and part of the Crespo Green Bond, £5 billion, 75% of that is going in the retrofit to passive house standard. 3%, 20 to 30 years, or 30 to 40 years. We can guarantee inflation on energy. We can say to people, we're going to pull you all out of fuel poverty. If your energy is only going up by 1.5% a year and not 57% in the last 10 years as it's happened. We can get funding from government. We can get money put in from the general investment account, from the house owner or the actual tenant. And then we look at what the years mean, 39 years, 31 years, or 26. If I was an energy company and I was sitting in here and I had put all the big energy companies in there, I said, I'm going to retrofit 20 million houses. It's not going to happen, but I said it. Who's the biggest loser? The energy companies. If I said to them, you invest in this, after 39 years, I keep paying until 50, but going down a bit. I'm going to make £29,000 as an energy company. I'm going to make £46,000. I'm going to make £55,000. As an energy company, I'm the biggest loser. So they've got to work with us. The whole people have got to work with us to make this work. It's not here yet. This is a vision. But I'm good at vision. I love it. Inspired by it. And unless we start, and that's what's so fantastic about you lot here today, is that you're starting that journey. You're the ones that will make the retrofit work. You've all got something to give. We won't do it on our own. I can never do anything on my own. Without you, it doesn't work. But with enough force behind it, we can really see it working. I've got to clear up now. Is it ready? Yes, it is. Go tomorrow. We're doing our normal builds. It's no different. It could be anywhere tomorrow. So we don't need massive factories. We don't need to do anything different. We just start, and we can actually make it work. So in conclusion, it is happening. We can do it, and we are doing it. And it's a great place to sort of start off with a group like you that are really passionate about retrofit. So thank you. Thank you.
Okay, do you mind if I just grab it? Okay, thank you. Put that in your pocket or flip it onto your belt where it's convenient. Thank you.
Right, yeah, that's fine. Does that work? Or?
I think it is.
Yeah, okay, brilliant. Okay.